Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome back to another episode of Two Knicks Chicks. I'm your girl, Lady and the Chef. It's good to be back. I know I haven't been on the past week, but I am here today. Lots to go over. I think I had to kind of like regroup from the Atlanta game. I just was expecting the Knicks to win that game. And I don't like the fact that we allowed a troll like Trey Young to come in and pretty much just do what he wanted to do in that game. So that was a bit of a disappointing loss, but nonetheless, it is what it is. We're moving on from that. I do want to recap that game slightly. Um, the Knicks did lose that game against Atlanta, 108 to 100. I thought that game, it didn't look good from the rip. Just by looking at the way the Knicks were playing, it just, I don't know, something about the way that game was played, like the tempo was kind of slow on the Knicks end. The Knicks did have a lead in the first half, and then the third quarter came, and the Hawks just outscored the Knicks 34-18, turning a 7-point lead into a 9-point deficit going into the fourth quarter. And then from there, the Hawks were just able to cruise. So the Knicks just had no answer. The defense was lacking. And Tom Thibodeau was asked after that game why the team couldn't finish the job and get the win over Atlanta. And he pretty much said, in quote, "The difference in the game is probably the hustle points. They shot 41% from the field. We shot 43%. But the second and third shots, that was a problem. The third quarter was a problem. They eased the deficit they had, and that quickly went. And then our energy dipped. It can't dip. Missed shots are a part of the game. We just got to keep fighting. Win with your defense, your rebounding. We had a couple of turnovers. That was a problem as well." I don't know. Tom Thibodeau saying win with your defense and rebounding is very true. But I think the issue that I have is that doesn't show when you're to the eye. It doesn't show when you're watching to the eye as far as the Knicks go. Now, when I look at the stats for that game, the Knicks had 11 blocks, Atlanta had 7. Knicks had 8 steals, Atlanta only had 5. The Knicks had 12 turnovers, which isn't horrible. Of course, the Knicks got beaten in points in the paint, 66-54. You know, 3-point shooting wasn't the best, 11 for 42 at 26%. Atlanta was 9 for 31 at 29%. I'm not sure what's going on with the Knicks from the free throw line. They were 9 for 15 at 60%. Atlanta didn't shoot well from the free throw line at all. They were 13 for 20, 65%. Knicks got out rebounded in that game. I'm just not understanding like what's going on. Like, I know some people have said, well, we have a couple of new guys in the roster. I understand that. There's no lie there. So guys have to get acclimated with the team. They have to build up their identity and gel. Some have told me I have to be patient. A lot of us Knicks fans need to be patient. I understand that. Listen, the way that I feel, and shout out to Diva Locks. She should be back with us joining next week. I said this to her, and that we've been patient for a long time now. And I know that we have no choice but to continue to be patient, right? I mean, as a New York Liberty fan, we had to wait 28 years. As a Knicks fan, we've been waiting quite some time. And we have no other choice but to continue to be patient and wait for this team to figure out their identity, their true identity. And I think also, the question for me is with this Knicks team is, are they going to keep who they have now? Because I think the trend has been so far, and that the front office has been making changes. They've been trading guys, getting rid of guys, bringing in guys, and it's worked so far. But I think that's part of one of the things that I kind of look at as a fan, and that I'm like, we've been changing up the roster, adding pieces, getting rid of pieces, and that kind of messes with the chemistry as well, right? So I don't know. You bring in Cameron Payne, you bring in Carl Anthony Towns, you brought in OG last year, you got rid of Randall, and you got rid of DiVincenzo. You traded iHeart. So it's like I get that standpoint of it as well, and that this team has to figure out their identity and it's going to take some time. And I also get that it takes time for championship teams to figure out their identity as well. Like I get this, and I'm not saying it because I don't want to hear it. Like I get it. I understand that this is part of what it takes for teams to get there. But I think that, with this show, part of the reason why I had to kind of wrap my head around, I think the Atlanta game, and just again, I don't think it's heavy emphasis for me that it's an in-season tournament game. Like to me, and I said this when the NBA first started, this whole in-season tournament cup, it's cool, but I think the bigger line is having a better regular season record, getting past the first and the second round in the playoffs, getting to the finals, and like the improvement in that regard. Like that's what I'm looking for with this Knicks team. Like the in-season tournament, yeah, you win extra cash is cool and all, but that means nothing. The Liberty lost their in-season tournament last year. Actually, they lost it to the team that they beat in the championship, the finals. So like when they lost it, it was disappointing. I think I felt the same way I did when the Knicks lost to Atlanta. And I was like, damn, that would have been nice. But then I had to like check myself and be like, why are you so focused on an in-season tournament? That means nothing. A ring holds more value and more weight than an in-season. Now, if you could get both in the same year, absolutely great. But I said this before, a lot of players, they want to make sure that they're set up financially and they're getting the money that they're looking to get. And then after that, I think the other goal is to get a championship, to be able to say you won a championship in the NBA. So again, that's the whole ordeal with that. iHeart told reporters that if he was still a Knick, and quote, I wouldn't have let him, talking about Trae Young, roll the dice on midcourt. I would have done something different. I've always got love for New York. Jalen Brunson responded to that and said, we'll never know. Isaiah isn't here, the Knicks captain said Saturday after practice. Honestly, I believe iHeart. iHeart, he's that teammate that he wasn't allowing no riffraff to go on the Knicks court. Like if somebody started with another teammate on the Knicks, iHeart was the first one to run in and be like, nah, we're not doing that. And I just thought that with Trae being such a villain, like, I think for me, I look at it like, damn, he keeps winning in that regard. Fans be like, F Trae Young and just this and that and the third. And it's been a back and forth banter with Knicks fans, not like in Atlanta, and it's specifically Trae Young, but that was sweeter for him. Not even just for Atlanta, but specifically for him to be like, y'all hate on me, but I just beat y'all. It is what it is, It's just an in-season tournament. We're not going crazy over that in regards. But I did want to talk about the defense and Tom Thibodeau. And what he had to say about the defense. I've been a huge advocate, and I said I'm going to continue to speak and put pressure and advocate for good defense this season, right? Because from preseason, I noticed it. And the Knicks are 25 games in now, and I think there's a couple of different issues that the Knicks have to address, right? Tom Thibodeau disagrees that the Knicks have defensive issues. He doesn't feel like the Knicks have defensive issues. He doesn't feel like there's a defense problem with this roster lineup, which was shocking to me because I'm like, I don't know if maybe, I don't know if maybe to his standard, the defense is good, and maybe because he figures, well, we're working with what we have, which I still feel like is BS because my thing is, okay, when Mitchell Robinson gets back, you're relying on one guy to help take the defense from where it is now to a different level. I think Mitchell Robinson can absolutely make a difference, right? But does it really take one guy to change the whole defensive attitude of every other person on the team? I just think that that's kind of silly. So I'm not understanding why it's like Mitch is going to be the savior. And I'm not saying anyone's saying that, but that's kind of like the underlying narrative behind when Mitchell Robinson gets back. That's there's going to be this magical change. And sure, it can help in a long run. I'm not disregarding that, nor am I disagreeing with that. I totally think that Mitchell Robinson can help out with the rebounding, with the defensive presence in the paint, giving the Knicks the second, third, fourth chance opportunities that they're not getting with Carl Anthony, right? But I think you got to walk. There's a tight line there because with Mitchell Robinson, you have to be careful. One, I keep saying, I've been saying this and that, is Mitchell Robinson going to be healthy? When he also gets back, he's going to be on limited minutes because he's just coming back from surgery. Also, is he going to be in good shape to be able to go in? And then I think that you give him the minutes, he plays games. You got to hope that he doesn't get hurt again. So, I don't know. I just, and I was also reading the whole like Tom Thibodeau was kind of like a little caught off guard or didn't know the exact timetable of when Mitch is coming back. Like they say in January, which is next month. But I don't know. I don't want to put full force pressure on that because it's December. This month is damn near flew by. It's flying by. We've got to be at the end of December. So who knows? But back to the defense and what Tom Thibodeau said. He said, in quote, yes, there are a lot of areas that could be better, but he believes that the Knicks are progressing. He said, I think we're top 10 in points allowed. We're 12th in points in the paint. We're 5th in fast break points allowed. We're top 5 in second chance points allowed. So those are all good markers. He said defensive field goal percentages in the last 10 games has been good. I think we're 13th overall. It's all moving in the right direction. Can it be better? Yes, and that's what we're aiming for. So, Tibbs is very much aware that this Knicks team is just not playing well defensively, but he disagrees that they have a defensive issue. From what I'm reading, Tibbs is focused on getting better every day, like improving. But again, to the eye test, at least to my eye test, I don't see that. I see it in spurts when the Knicks play. I see it in a quarter when the Knicks play. I see it in 2 quarters when the Knicks play a game. The Knicks may have a good first and second quarter, and then the third and fourth, they drop. Or they start off slow, which has been an issue this season, and then maybe in the third quarter, they have a good third quarter of good, solid defense. They can outscore a team. They get a lot of defensive stops. But I don't see a full-fledged game, a full game of minutes where the Knicks are playing good defense. I don't see that. So I'm trying to figure out where or how he doesn't see that this team has they have defense issues. Because according to him, they don't have defense issues. So I'm a little confused by that with Tom Thibodeau and him disagreeing that the Knicks have defense issues. But part of the reason the Knicks numbers are where they are is because the Knicks play at the 4th slowest pace in the league. So there's fewer possessions per game. The Knicks are 16th in defensive rating. They allow 113.7 points per 100 possessions. Last year, they were ninth at 112.4 per 100 possessions. And okay, yeah, like I said a few minutes ago, this is a new team, right? Different roster markups, different guys on the roster. When there's different strengths in different areas, they just haven't figured out how to make it all come together yet. And like I said earlier, they lost Dante DiVincenzo, Julius Randle, and Isaiah Hartenstein. The Knicks are one of the premier offensive teams in the league. They're second in offensive rating at 120.2 after adding Carl Anthony and Mikal Bridges. And I alluded to, they don't have Mitchell Robinson. I get that, who can add protection at the rim, offensive rebounding. He's a force in that area as well, but he's yet to appear in a game after his off-season ankle surgery. You know, they're saying January. We'll see. But I think all of that combined is part of the reason the Knicks have gone from leading in the league in offensive rebounding percentage last year to 19th this season. But I still wonder, is Mitchell Robinson, yeah, he may change percentages and where the Knicks stand in offensive rebounding and the Knicks in defensive standings, right? Their rating rather. But I think for me, like where I'm having an issue is I'm like, but why are we putting this whole emphasis on when Mitchell Robinson comes back? And again, I'm not saying this because he's the end all be all. That's not what I'm saying, but I think I'm coming from a standpoint of rather like this roster who's playing now has to figure it out before he comes back. You can't just say, well, when he comes back, okay, yeah, he's going to be that defensive force that we need. Yeah, you need him. But I think this team has to figure it out before Mitchell Robinson gets back. And I'm hoping to see that. I'm really hoping to see that. Tibbs, right now, he feels like the Knicks are in a good spot, all things considered. He thinks the defensive numbers will improve as the year goes on. He said, and quote, "There are a number of markers I look at. I've always said the number one thing for me is net rating or scoring margin. So how many are you scoring and how many are you giving up? We've plus 6.5, which is sixth in the league. That's the most important one. Defensive rating systems, these things are hard to judge because it's different value systems that people have." He also said, when you have a net rating that we have, it says that you are doing good things and that we want to keep improving. I think that's the biggest thing when you start thinking good. Usually that's when the slippage occurs. So stay hungry to improve. The biggest part of mental toughness is having the belief that you could always do something better. So what I take from that is Tom Thibodeau is basically saying, we're just focusing on improving in the areas of weakness and focusing on getting better each game and throughout the season. Like, yeah, we're 25 games in. We've had slow starts. We can't guard the perimeter, which, again, don't openly admit, but it's true. Our defense isn't the greatest. We play maybe a quarter or 2 quarters worth of good defense. In some games, we just don't show up at all. But it'll improve when it improves. And that's pretty much what he's saying. We can't knock down a free throw enough. I don't understand why the percentage is at 60%. Yeah, I think this team has also, and that Tom Thibodeau is just going to keep rocking with the starters because there's no trust to play any rookies. I think that, like, at this point, we need to just get that out of our head that Tom Thibodeau is going to play Huck Porty. He's going to play Kolek. He's going to play Pacome. They're right now, what they have the rookies on is basically what they had Mitchell Robinson. What they had Deuce McBride on. Like, you're going to sit on the bench in case we need to put you in, but you pretty much are going to play in the G League for the most part. So, like, if we need a filler, be ready. We may put you in the game, but as of right now, you're going to, just suit up. Basically, kind of like what Toppin does. I sit on the bench for my warm-ups. Coach puts me in for a couple of minutes, cool. But I mainly play in the G League. Like that's really where I play. Like, you may catch me in a game if we up by 25 and coach puts me in, but Tibbs is gonna rock with the same guys: Brunson, OG, Hart, Bridges, Towns, Precious, Mitch. When he not, it's not going further than that. Campaign, it's not going any further than that. So those of us who want to see, or we've been advocating for Tibbs to play some of the rookies, get it out your head. It's not happening. I had to tell myself that. That's why y'all didn't see me in a week. I had to really do some deep dive thinking. I said, because I was going to come on here and I was going to be like that guy on YouTube. I don't know his name. It's like Angry something. And his content is hilarious, by the way, because he just be so mad and angry. I wasn't going to be to that extent, but I was like, what is up with the Knicks? Like, what's the deal? And I get that it's only 25 games in, but when, and this question is really for the chat. Like, when do we give the Knicks, when do we cut off the grace point period? You know how jobs give you 90 days and they figure out if they want to keep you. When do we give the Knicks a grace point period cutoff? Because, okay, we at 25 games. Do we do it at 40 games? That's halfway. That's the halfway mark. They play 82 games. So when do you say, yeah, we gotta talk. We gotta have a chat. When's the cutoff mark that we give this Knicks team to say, and I don't even think at 40 games, you should be able to say, like, well, damn, this team ain't gonna go where we thought they was gonna go, because that's kind of like, to me, it's a little too soon, or you can't really necessarily count this team out because they can go on a run. We saw them do it last year where they were able to go on a nice run towards the late half of the season and really pick it up. So I don't know. But what I do know is that I don't want to be content with where the Knicks are now and be content with, okay, we'll go after 50 games again for the regular season and we'll get to the second round. You've done that already. You've done that already. You've won 50 games. You've made it to the second round, but I want to see you get past the second round. And I'm not putting heavy emphasis on the Knicks winning more than 50 games. Like, if they do, cool. If they don't, okay. But I want to see them perform in the second round. But I think my concern is, so far what we're seeing during the season is that the Knicks have proven that they lose energy, they lose wind, they lose gas because Tibbs is playing guys so many minutes. And then I also wonder, well, when you look at the bench, are we going to have, or is Tibbs going to utilize the bench? Because you'll have Campaign, Deuce, Precious, and Mitch. And if I'm missing somebody, let me know. But Tibbs likes to rock with 8 guys. So when's the grace period over that, as the Knicks fan community, that we should say, you know what, it's been about 45 games. I'm seeing the same, like, I haven't seen a jump in improvement enough for me to say we'll be okay. We need to have a chat. We need to have a talk and talk about how does this team improve defensively? How do we improve rebounds? How do we get better with free throws? Do guys look tired? Or are they going to exhaust so much energy to finish strong on a regular season and then they give all they have in the first round, in the second round, they fall short again. And I'm not here to be a Debbie Downer. I'm saying I'm going by what we've seen. This has been shown to us on our TV screens that this is what the Knicks do. Guys are so winded and gashed. Josh Hart trying to be everywhere. Superman, I'm diving on the floor. I'm grabbing rebounds. I'm giving you a double trip. Josh Hart is giving you Russell Westbrook numbers when he was in his prime. He's improved. His shot has improved. Deuce has improved his shot. I'm not worried about the offense with this Knicks team. It's the other things that there's no balance. The offense is here, and I think the other things are like here. Can they improve and come up here? Absolutely. But they have some work to do. And my real question lies in, I'm not questioning that I don't see the potential. I see the potential and where this team could go. I think the biggest question that I have is, are we going to see it? Tibbs keep preaching, we're going to improve. I'm looking for improvement throughout the season. I'm looking for this team to get better. Okay. Well, I'm going to watch and see. Because my biggest thing with this team is the other things, like I said. I think, prime example, the Atlanta game. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I turned it. At some point late in the third, I turned it off because I had enough of what I saw. I watched for 5-6 minutes straight. The Knicks brought the ball down the court, and they were just chucking up threes, and the threes weren't going down. Is that the only way you can make points in basketball? That maybe I gotta Google it. I don't know. Somebody told me, is that the only way that you can make points in a game of basketball now is threes? Because Jalen Brunson, who has excellent footwork, who can get down in the paint, I didn't see him do that. And then he was off. And instead of doing the other things like facilitate the ball, set guys up, he kept trying to be the hero. I'm the captain. I'm the hero. Bro, come on now. Come on now. And then the Knicks, every time somebody had the ball on the Hawks, they was falling for every head fake. All you saw was them jumping up in the air trying to defend. And the Hawks player was hezzy, bounced the ball, getting off the shot that they wanted to. Those are the kind of things that I'm talking about that I want to see improvement on. Stop settling for the 3-point shot. That's going to be one of the Knicks' biggest Achilles heels, aside from the guarding the perimeter and just playing overall man-to-man defense as well. The Knicks, I saw OG shooting them. I saw Brunson shooting a bunch of threes, and I'm like, yo, why are they just? It's so distasteful to watch. And that's how the Hawks got into the game. The Knicks were just coming down the other end of the floor and just shooting threes. I'm like, really? Why? Take it to the dry. Like, I don't get it with the Knicks. They'll rather keep settling for threes. I ain't even seen them pulling up regular mid-range jump shots. Just threes. Mikel 3, Brunson 3, OG 3. Why? Why are you shooting threes and you're not making them? And I get the whole like shooters are gonna shoot, but wouldn't you rather see the ball go through the hoop with a layup, with a mid-range, hell, with a free throw, and then go back to shooting the three, build up that confidence? I don't get it. And that's gonna hurt this Knicks team. I'm telling you now. That settling for threes is gonna hurt this Knicks team for real. And just like the defensive effort, a lot of times I see guys, they play defense like Josh Hart. He plays defense along the side of the player. It's like you're playing alongside the hip instead of cutting off the driving lane. It's not defense. Shout out to the chat. Let me see what you guys are saying because I see y'all active and live on this Sunday. What up, G Mark? He said, I remember telling you that teams that does not win on the first year of being together. Miami won with the big three, did not win out of the gates. It took Boston sometimes. Absolutely. It takes championship teams time to win. No doubt. It for sure takes championship teams time to win. I agree 100% with that. Salute to Wonder Woman. Always in the chat. Hit him up, New York, New Jersey. Salute to you. My weekend was good. It was relaxing. Thanks for asking. I hope you had a good weekend too. Wonder Woman said, I'm trying to stay hopeful, but I'm a bit concerned about the team. Yeah, I think we all are staying hopeful, right? Like we don't want to get down on this team just yet because we see the potential of what this Knicks team can do and where they can go. And I think I have a few concerns, but I'm not hitting the panic button just yet. There are some concerns for sure. You said, I hope the reports are true, trading Deuce McBride for Kobe White. So you feel like that's a better fit? Because I feel like Deuce McBride, the Knicks got him at such a discounted rate. And for the production and the value that he brings to this team, I think it's a good fit. You feel like Kobe White would be a better fit for this team and he can give you more production than Deuce McBride? Brooklyn Knicks fan salute said bad defense, bad free throw percentages, and bad coaching. Knicks need to get better. No lies. No lies told. It's a combination of a couple of bad things. This Knicks team is more built for the playoffs than the regular season. But how are they more built for the playoffs than the regular season? You think because they're the way they play, their style of play? And I don't understand that because the playoffs is a different playing field. Like the intensity and the way teams take it from, a level 5 to a level 20. And the playoffs is meant to be harder. Each round you go through, it gets harder and harder. It's like the Hunger Games. Like it's not for everybody. But I don't know how this Knicks team is more built for the playoffs than the regular season when I think the Knicks play good in the playoffs. But I go back to last year when we played Indiana. Defense just wasn't good. And I know there's going to be a lot of people who are going to say, oh, well, the Knicks, we had a man down situation. The health was an issue. It was. But I think it ties into what I was saying for now, for like this roster this year. Like Mitch went down, didn't have him there to have that defensive presence. Ihart did the best that he could. Right? Mitch played a better first round against Embiid, and then second round against Indiana. It wasn't even just the bigs. Because for some reason the Knicks can't guard Siakam. I don't know what that's about. But I don't know. I just think the defense, if you don't have that, because shooting is not a problem, scoring is not a problem, it's the defense. G Mark said Tibbs is content with being mediocre. Knicks fans expect an elite team. Yeah. Someone said to me on the last live that I was on that this Knicks team has the ability to contend but they're not sure with us being under Tibbs. And actually, I was speaking to Diva and she's about done with Tibbs. She says she has a lot of questioning with Tibbs because, again, we going by the eye test, not the stats. I know the stats say something different with this Knicks team, but we're going by the eye test. Knicks not built for a playoff team. That was last season team. Yeah, I like as of right now, I don't think this Knicks team is built for the playoffs. Now, maybe in a couple of months, maybe my opinion will change on that. I had given them 20 games to gel. For me, the grace period is over. The thing is that with the Knicks, I think with the way Tibbs coaches, Tibbs likes to do a lot of combination schemes. He still likes to figure out who works with what. If I put this guy playing with this guy on the floor, like Tibbs is still low key doing that as well. And I think 20 games, while that should be enough of a grace period for a team, for this Knicks team, I don't know. I think we need to revisit this conversation back at that 40, 45 game mark. The Knicks are holding on to that fourth seed spot. And that's going to be key. The Knicks have to hold on to that fourth seeded spot. You don't want to get late in the season and you end up in fifth, sixth, or seventh. And now you have to, you want to stay, if not in that top three, at least in the top four. Brooklyn Knicks fans said Knicks need a better defensive coach. Tibbs needs to be demoted. Yeah, well, they extended Tibbs. I think that's what like bothers me is because I'm like, Tibbs is such a defensive, he's known to be a defensive minded coach. But I just don't see that correlating when I'm watching the Knicks play. Paris Jugger Salute said Tibbs is destroying the team by not playing the roster properly. He's tiring our shooters out. Yeah. Because honestly, when you watch the Knicks play against Atlanta, they look tired. OG had his hands on his hips. He was gasping for some air. Brunson looked a little tired. Guys look tired. Carl Anthony looked tired. I'm just like, I don't know how sustainable this is playing the same starters the entire game. Sometimes being a Knicks fan is unhealthy. That Atlanta game broke my heart. Yeah. And I don't even think it was because it's a in-season tournament game. I think it's like we all looked at it like, yo, it's Atlanta. We should have beat them. Salute to Patrick McManus. He said, after 15 games with Mitch back, we lack defensive tenacity. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. No, I'm not crying over the Knicks. I got a little like allergy. I don't know what's going on situation. So sorry if I keep doing that. I don't know. I don't think Mitch is the end all be all and he's going to be our answer. I think Mitch can make a difference, like I said at the top of this show, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. Because if we have a defensive issue now with the roster we have now, like, so when Mitch comes back, Mitch is going to be playing good defense. But what about the other four of you? What about the other 8 of you that play on this team? I don't know. There is no explanation for being blown up in a quarter. Why are we gassed in the third quarter? Yeah, because Tibbs is playing the same 5, 6 guys. It's just it's unfortunate, but Tibbs has a trust issue and he likes to go with what he thinks who he thinks is going to get the job done and what works. When you look at other teams in the league, they play their rookies, maybe not a ton of minutes, but they add them in the lineup. You got to get them the playing time so they can make the mistakes, get the experience. You could correct them, help them along their way. It's not just about developing their game, but allowing them to play in the game to get acclimated in a live, real game time situation of playing against other professional NBA players, right? And when you have guys sitting on the bench keeping the chairs warm, well, they're not going to get the experience that they should be getting. I've always thought that Josh Hart was another Westbrook, but a better shooter than Russ. Yeah. And quite frankly, the Knicks need Josh Hart in the starting lineup because you don't really have good rebounders on this team. Hartenstein was the anchor of the Knicks defense, absolutely, as well as Hartenstein helped move the ball. He helped with the ball movement with his great passing. He's raised OKC defense. Cat at the top at the five, not going to work. Yeah, Isaiah Hartenstein is playing very well in OKC. Very well. Like he's that player that you're like very much worth the money. And I have to say for the Knicks, I feel like OG is worth the money as well. Like he's been, for the most part, he's been consistent. Maybe except 2-3 games where he didn't have, he didn't really give us much uh offense. But I think OG, you see, I feel like he's found a home here. He's playing a lot better than he did in Toronto. A lot of times, you know how that could be. You get a player, you give him a bunch of money, and as the Knicks front office have done in the past, they've got those Eddie Curry, Joakim Noah players and a waste. And then you still got them on the payroll and they're not even playing for the team. Kenneth Hatcher's salute said, I turned it off also. It was horrible to watch. Yeah, I turned it off. And I'm going to tell you another thing. When they play tonight at 6, if they can't figure out how to get past Orlando, I'll probably turn that off at midway in the third. I'm just not. It's like, it's so distasteful and painful to watch. I just don't want to keep seeing y'all chucking up threes. Like, I'll watch it if I see effort. I'm not saying you got to be winning enough for me to, keep watching it. But like, if you doing dumb things like we're just gonna keep shooting threes all night, then I'm turning it off. Knicks have no defensive anchor on the floor, just offensive guys. Yeah, for sure. But it's like, from a coaching standpoint, how do you change that? How do you change it so these guys become more defensive minded? How do you correct the mistakes? Like, it's almost like you got to go back to the basics with these guys, and really train them to start playing better defense. To when you're playing man to man, like, I don't know, it just seems like Tibbs would rather leave the perimeter open and he wants guys in the paint to help out, maybe because Mitchell Robinson's not there and it's just Carl Anthony being in the paint, and he wants guys to focus on getting the rebound. It's weird. I don't. Clyde kept calling it up, one and out. Yeah. Hit him up, said, I was at work. We was up by 12, 15 minutes later, down by 9. Typical Knicks. Yeah. Don't look away. Don't go and try to make you a plate of food. You turn around, you thinking you gonna sit comfortable in front of the TV and watch the Knicks. Yeah, okay. Mikal is no longer a defensive player. He's strictly offense. Yeah, Mikal's defense, it looks like Tyler Kolek defense. A lot of work. A lot of work needs to be done there. I just don't like his defense at all. I think he's found his footing, Mikal, which I'm happy about. I think we all should be happy about. He's found his footing with this team. He seems to be, the offense has come along, but defensively, and he usually gets one of the hardest jobs, him and OG. Yeah, he's another one. Campaign throwing up bad 3-pointers in that Atlanta game. And no one's saying anything. And let me not say that. Maybe someone is saying something, but it couldn't have been. Couldn't have been. Who on that bench, player or coach, assistant coach wise, is saying you gotta attack the paint. Get to the basket. Get the foul. Who's saying that? Knicks are just chucking up threes. Atlanta read that whole game and said, oh, okay, this is how they're gonna play. Cool. We got this. So Randu 1973 says, salute, gotta improve the bench because the bench is a liability. Yeah. That's why I was saying, like, okay, you get Mitchell Robinson back, you have Precious Achua, you have Campaign, you have Deuce McBride. Is Tibbs gonna like add those guys in to give them enough minutes, or is the minutes gonna be heavily on the starters? You know, your Carl Anthony, your Brunson, your Mikal, um, Josh Hart. Are they gonna get the heavy bulk of the minutes? And Tibbs are maybe sprinkling, or if one of the bench guys or one or two of the bench guys are playing well, he'll give them the minutes. I don't know. But I do think that the bench needs to be strengthened. The Knicks' depth, their bench is getting outscored damn near every game. The game slows down in the playoffs, words of the late, great Kobe Bryant. I think it slows down for players who could read that and allow the game to slow down, you know? So if the Knicks still playing like this in the middle of February, they are in trouble. Yeah. I think that's why at the 40-45 game mark, we need to have a talk and reassess like what this team is doing. Do we see enough improvement that we can be like, okay, it seems to be like they're not just gelling, but they're making the improvements. They're talking on defense. They're getting to their spots. They're making an effort and guarding the perimeter. We're getting the second chance, third chance opportunities on the offensive boards. And it's like, if we see that, then okay. But if there's no improvement in that, and also I'm gonna have the stats for that as well, defensive stats, offensive stats, then yeah. Because while I'm saying that the offense isn't a problem, I think that you still got to look at things like, are we just settling for threes and chucking up threes throughout the game? You know, but yeah, I think if in the middle of February the Knicks are still playing like this, which I don't think so, I see the potential where they can improve. We saw it last year. I noticed a couple of changes in the roster, but they can still make it happen. Absolutely. Then for sure, we definitely need to be concerned. 40-45 games is half of the season. Right. That's what I was saying. At 40 games, that's the halfway mark. Play 82 games. Yeah, Kenneth. They beat us when it matters most. I hate when that happens, especially to a New York team. Like the game you need them to win, they lose. Hit him up said Knicks will be 16-10 after this win versus Orlando tonight. Yeah, I'm expecting the Knicks to win. You've already proven that you can beat them. I don't know if does anybody know if Paolo is back playing or is he still out? Last I saw he was out indefinitely. I know he was in street clothes the last time we played them. Um so yeah. Pacome, Kolick, Hukporty, and Sims has to be developed to help us. I think Pacome, Kolick, and Hukporty, yeah, they have room for development. I don't think that Sims, as long as he's been a Knick, no. Sims needs to work on his game in the offseason. He didn't do that. Even though the stats say otherwise for Sims, I don't think this Knicks team has the time to develop guys because of where they're trying to go. And Tibbs not playing the rookies, he's doing a disservice to them by not playing them. So I think Sims had his opportunity to develop and under this team. And I don't know. I just haven't seen any major improvement with Jericho. Somewhat of an improvement, but not anything that's like, yeah, they should definitely keep him. He's been getting the playing time by circumstance because of Mitchell Robinson being out when Carl Anthony was out for a little bit. Yeah. So, I think where it stands right now, the Knicks know that it's a long season and they know that they have some adjustments to make. After making massive changes in the offseason, adding Carl Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges, and it's only been 25 games. Also, the Knicks have been known to have slow starts under Thibodeau. There's no lies told there. The Knicks under Tom Thibodeau have had slow starts every year under him. In fact, believe it or not, this is their best record at this point in the season under Tibbs. Last year's team was 14-11 at this time. And then the Knicks acquired OG Anunoby. So I'm going to ask the question again to the chat. Will this Knicks team get better with a healthy Mitchell Robinson on the defensive end on the glass? And will that make the whole team play better defense overall? Jalen Brunson said, and I quote, he said, "This group is still figuring it out. We're progressing every single day. There's ups and downs of the season, and we're finding our way. It's a fairly new team. We're going to continue to get better throughout the entire year, all the way to April." He said, "Yeah, we're 25 games in, but it still takes time for us to get to gel and figure it out. I think the best part of this is we're nowhere near a finished product from all facets. It's just a mindset, knowing we're not there yet, and we have a long way to go." So, it seems like the same thing we're hearing from Tom Thibodeau. We're working on improving. We're working on gelling better and playing together as a team. We're working on being better defensively. We're working on trying to figure out how to knock down free throws because they're free. And I think that they're trying to find their way. Listen, I'm not here to use excuses. I said at the top of the show, I'm tired of waiting. Like, I need this team to part of me has the patience, but the other part of me is like, let's get it together. Let's figure it out. I want to see better effort. That's all. That's what I'm asking. So it looks like the Knicks are content with where they are at this point in the season. Do I think that they're happy? No, I don't think that we should focus necessarily just on the record either. I think if you look past so far the record of what they have, it's deeper than that to me. It's like what's happening game in, game out. Like I said, sometimes only playing 1 or 2 quarters of good defense. That matters. It's the difference maker in the game. Not knocking down your free throws, not guarding the perimeter, being rebounded, getting beat in the points in the paint. And the same lens that I have on now, I'm going to have on when Mitchell Robinson comes back. Now I'll give him some grace because, like I said, he may not be playing full-fledged minutes. He's probably going to have to ease into it. And to be honest, I think they should preserve him as much as possible and not play him a lot of minutes because you're going to need him in the playoffs. He's very fragile. He's like a piece of glass. Got to wrap him up, bubble wrap, whatever kind of wrap, and make sure that he doesn't break anything. The Knicks are 15-10 through 25 games. They're in the 4th place in the Eastern Conference. I think it's crucial that they don't dip any further than that. And I don't see them doing that because the East looks a little, but again, anything could happen after All-Star break. After that 45 game mark, teams find some spurt of energy and they go on a run. They figure out their identity and they go on a run. And the same could happen for the Knicks. But the Knicks aren't putting pressure on being a championship contender right away. They're not. And I think that goes for what I've been saying. It takes time for championship teams to win a championship. So they're focused on figuring out who they are. But I think part of them focusing on who they are requires the front office not to keep making trades. Because if you keep bringing in guys in the off season, then we're going to be kind of back at square one with a slow start in the beginning, of the season, and guys trying to gel. And because this is what happened last year, it took the guys a while to figure out playing together. Campaign is the only Nick really that's eligible for a trade, and then Precious is eligible for a trade January 15th. Okay, so Paolo is still out along with Wagner. Okay. Gene said that is a well-reasoned, well-articulated statement from Brunson. In fact, I agree with him. My pet peeve is we are not addressing our obvious weaknesses: offensive rebounding, defense, and open threes. Yeah, I think that is because they're packaging under, we know that that's our issue. Those are part of our weaknesses and our early season woes, but we're just trying to improve and get better each game. Like, we know that we're not good on the offensive rebounding. We know that our defense is very weak. We allow a lot of open 3-pointers. Don't matter where, if it's the shortest point of 3-point line, the top of the key, at an angle, the Knicks just don't guard the three. Just like they love just chucking up random threes, they don't guard the threes. And both can be an Achilles heel for this team. So I think the Knicks as a whole, again, I know that they watch film. And I know that they know that these are their issues, but I think they're just like, and hell, even Tibbs, you have to be a blind man to think that. Again, I said this earlier for those of you who didn't catch it. According to Tom Thibodeau, he disagrees that this Knicks team has defense issues. So I think that they're just packaging everything under one and just saying, like, we know that we have these issues, and throughout the season, we're going to address them. We're going to try to get better. But a part of me is like, miss me with that. It's given very much like a political response from a politician. We're going to try to do the best that we can do. And if we make any changes, then we make any changes. That's what it's given for me. I don't want to hear the talk. I don't want to hear the politically correct response that an athlete should give to reporters. I want to see it done in a game. I want to see the action. I want to see better effort. I want to see better basketball IQ. Stop settling. Protect your home court and beat teams that you should be beating, and challenge the teams that are a little bit better than you. Every team is beatable in this league. Cully, salute. Robert Woodard, salute. He said, hey, Knicks family. Precious said, we see what we want. Sims is 14-8 in the lineup. Precious is 1-2 and 2 horrible losses. Well, Precious just came back, so I think we got to give him a little grace to adjust. But we'll see. I saw it coming as well. I think a lot of us did. We saw Sims was going to lose his minutes once Precious came back. Once Mitch comes back. Like, that was a given that we saw he wasn't going to, I think his on paper his stats look good for Sims, right? But I think it's a little too late. I think it's a little too late. Salute TJ. He says, salute to Knicks chicks. yeah, I think that you know, we have to give this team some more grace. I think that again, they have to be blind men to not realize that they have these issues on their team. And they know, the front office knows, Tibbs know, the players know, they know that they have these issues. And I think that you know, according to Tibbs, the Knicks do not have any defensive issues, and they're going to address them and improve as the year goes on. For those of you who are just checking in, Tom Thibodeau said he believes that the Knicks are in a good spot, all things considered. And he thinks the defensive numbers will improve as the years go on. He said there are a number of markers he looks at. I've always said the number one thing for me is net rating or scoring margin. So how many of you are scoring and how many are you giving up? We're plus 6.5, which is sixth in the league. That's the most important one. Defensive rating system, those things are hard to judge because it's different value systems people have. He also said when you have a net rating that we have, it says that you are doing good things. We want to keep improving. I think that's the biggest thing when you start thinking good. Usually that's when the slippage occurs. So stay hungry to improve. The biggest part of mental toughness is having the belief that you could always do something better. So Tibbs is basically saying, yeah, I know that we have issues, but we could do better and we'll progress. We'll get better throughout the season. That's his hope, is that they get better they improve throughout the season. According to him, he said, I think we're top 10 in points allowed. We're 12th in points in the paint. We're 5th in fast break points allowed. We're top 5 in second chance points allowed. So those are all good markers, he said. Defensive field goal percentage the last 10 games has been good. I think we're 13th overall. It's all moving in the right direction. Can it be better? Yes. And that's what we're aiming for. So Tibbs is, but again, I think we also have to look at Tom Thibodeau. Sure, he's the coach. Coaches can't go in and play the game, but you have to look at Tibbs too. You the one calling the shots. You the one that got to say, I don't want that. This is what I need. Here's the scheme. The roster changes, calling the timeouts at the right time. It's another thing that kills me with Tibbs. Why are you allowing the team to get down by so much? Call a timeout at the right time. David Smith Salusa, where's the Knicks' pride and effort and toughness? Does this team have the mindset to be a champion? That's what I wonder. I think the potential's there for them to be champions, right? But I think the Knicks need better discipline. They need better focus. Someone said a few episodes ago, maybe Josh and Jalen need to stop doing that damn podcast. A lot of athletes have podcasts though. It's the new thing, they're like, well, I'm gonna just create my own platform and have my own podcast. But I agree. I think that Knicks' pride and effort and toughness that we saw with those 90s Knicks, I need to see that. That's why I really loved iHeart. iHeart was knuck if you buck. Dunk on me, but I'm going to get you right back. You know how many times he used to fall flat on his back? I was like, oh my gosh, he probably broke his back. Tough as nails. Tough, 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 tough. And I'm not saying that this team doesn't have that, but we haven't seen it displayed during games. What we've seen is a quarter, maybe 2 quarters worth of good defense if you're lucky on the night. But come on, the Knicks have played Detroit. They've played who is it? Charlotte. Games are neck and neck. Barely scraping the surface of beating those teams. And actually Detroit said, we're not gonna keep getting beat by y'all. Enough is enough. Had no answer for Cade Cunningham. It was a party, a shooting party in that game. I think the Knicks have the potential. I see it there, but I think it's going to take some time because they need to get aligned as a team. They're not fully aligned. I think there's pieces that are out of line and they need to get in line, where once they're in line, the playing together has to come there, the gelling has to get there, and then they have to exercise all those things that they're doing on a consistent basis. They're not there yet. And then on the other side of that, I think that the front office, we can't keep like trading off certain guys and bringing in this guy, and you add in a guy, you get, because then it messes with who we have and them gelling and being able to play together. So I don't know. Trae Young is immature. I'm tired of the excuses. Front office built a title contending roster. It's now to Tibbs and the captain, Jalen Brunson, and the other players to right the ship. Yeah, I agree. And this is what I was saying at the top of the show. Like a lot of Knicks fans, we're tired. We're tired. It's been too long of seeing the same thing, just a different year. And yeah, this Knicks team has definitely made major improvements, but it's like we want to see this team get to the finals. We want to see a championship, right? But I don't know. I think Tibbs definitely has the pieces that he need. Is this the perfect roster lineup? No. I think that the Knicks could use another piece for sure. Healthier pieces. I'm not sure who's the vocal leader on this team. I don't know. Is it Brunson? Is it Hart? Is it? I don't know. I don't know who's the vocal leader on this team. That's another question that I have. And then there's some questions that I have on Tom Thibodeau as well. I'm not sure. Sometimes the schemes, the roster lineups, the late timeouts. I don't know. So yeah, we'll see what happens. The Knicks do play Orlando tonight at 6. It's an early game, so I'm looking for the Knicks to handle business. Sometimes with early games, there's a question mark leaving you scratching your head with the Knicks, but nonetheless, the Knicks should be able to handle business as we beat them already. And then the Knicks are on the road. This tonight starts their road trip. They play Orlando. Then they play again on Thursday. Oh, wow. The Knicks have a break. Okay. They play again on Thursday at 9:30. They play the Timberwolves. And then they play again on Saturday. They play New Orleans. I'm going to give my predictions. I have the Knicks at, I'm going to go 2-1. 2-1. So we'll see. We shall see. Shout out to everybody in the chat for joining me today, as always. I appreciate you guys. Gene Mark, Wonder Woman, hit them up, New York, New Jersey, or NYNJ. Brooklyn Knicks fans, salute to you as well. Patrick McManus, salute to you. Parrish Duggar. Who else? Rondu 1973, Kenneth Hatcher. Salute to you as well. Salute to Diva Locks. She should be joining us next week. Robert Wooders, salute to you. Cully as well, salute to you both. TJ Honablu, salute to you. I haven't seen a few of you here, but salute to you for tuning in, of course. David Smith, salute to you as well. Good comments today. Yeah, I'll be on tomorrow on the Queen's Court. We'll be on at 7:30. So check us out then. And I will be back on Thursday to recap, being that the Knicks don't play again till Thursday. So yeah, well, you know me, I'm always digging to find out who has what to say on the Knicks team. So and what interviews people do that doesn't necessarily show up in the limelight. So I'm always digging at things that I have questions about. So yeah, check me out tomorrow on the Queen's Court with Queen Stephanie, of course, Jeff Clafter, Tony Crow from Knicks and Bruises. And then I'll be on Thursday, and then check us out next Sunday as well. Diva Lock should be in the building then. So yeah, we'll see. But until next time, everybody have a great weekend. Great finish to your weekend and great week. And then I'll see you guys. Check us out tomorrow. Queen's Core. A lot of you already subscribed to that, so check us out 7:30. And then yeah, I'll see you guys Thursday. Peace, everybody.